And we're live. Good evening, Shifties. Welcome back to Shift the Journey. I'm your host, Tito Amogus. Here we have today a special guest. Our special guest is calling in from Lagos, Nigeria. He is Ayodeji Anibaba. Man, I know you told me how to say it. I think I messed it up, but
Right.
hopefully that was acceptable. Um, so this show is something that like it's a passion of mine. I love to help people, and I feel like especially love to help people find their way in their career path. And so one of the things that I love to do is to share stories. I'm a storyteller, and so I'm like, hey, I know that there are people out there who are like trying to find their way from one career to another career, or one industry to another, or just trying to get ahead. And sometimes we feel stuck. Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you don't know if there's a way forward, but there is a way forward. I can tell you that we have a lot of people who come on here and tell their stories, and the thing is
Yeah.
with our stories, it's not a blueprint. You can't like completely copy it to the T, but
Yeah.
what it does show is the evidence that there is possibility that you can make a change in your career. And so, one thing I have not been really vocal about is, hey, this is a live show, and if you're watching, throw something in the comments, and we'll talk about it. If you have an idea, or if you have something, a question or something, just throw it in the comments, and I'll light it up, and we'll talk about it, and we'll see what's going on. So, all right, without further ado, let's talk to Ayodeji. Okay, so I already said most of the time, I say, hey, where are you from? We already know you are from Lagos, Nigeria.
Thanks,
Um,
Nigeria.
so you were born and raised there.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria.
All right. Have you traveled anywhere outside of your home country?
Nah, I haven't. I haven't so far.
Okay. So I looked on your LinkedIn profile, and it showed me that you did some like elevator maintenance and
Yeah.
generator maintenance. And so tell me how you got into that. Let's start there.
Okay. So hi guys. Hi everyone. So for me, I think it was back then in 2017. I was in school. I was studying mechanical engineering basically. I
Okay.
was in my fourth year. So in our fourth year, we were encouraged to go do some industrial training. And in doing so, I was able to get an opportunity to work with an elevator and escalator installation company. And that was how I started. And I think where I worked, the current airport in Lagos, the current international airport, the new one is where I worked. And I could basically boldly say that I was one of those that installed all the escalators that was there, and it's 24 in
Whoa.
numbers. And we have 12 escalators or so. So when it was still nothing, I was part of those that participated in installing down from the filler weights to the engines and putting the cars together, testing the speed and all those things. Back then, there was the applied for mechanical engineering, and because that was my passion then, while doing my undergraduates, and I did 6 months of that and finishing school, my 5 years in engineering. I basically transitioned into working full time with a media company as a maintenance engineer.
Hmm.
Uh, Maintenance engineer, I maintained generators, 500 kVAs, 640 kVA big generators, and the main building was an high-rise building. So I also did some maintenance duty, both mechanical and electrical maintenance, in changing light bulbs in the roofs of the buildings. If there were any issues relating to lightning, or I was there. I had to do those things, and that was me going into the corporate world, me
Yeah.
starting my journey as an engineer, and it was kind of fun, and I think I started. That was when the thought of transition started to come, because
So what real quick,
yeah,
what is like the day to day for somebody who's like a mechanical engineer?
yeah. So mechanical engineering is kind of like a wild field, so it depends on where you're working as.
Mhm.
So for me, I worked in an installation company. Then it was like, oh, normally if I was a graduate by then, I would be working in an office just designing how a building should be using AutoCAD and ANSYS. But then I
Oh,
wanted to learn how to do the installations of these things. And so I partook in going to sites and going for the installations and participating in doing the real handwork as
oh
an
yeah,
engineer.
yeah.
So I did that, and the day to day is like going to site every day because they get contracts. You have to go to different sites. It might be a company, it might be an oil company, but this time around, because of my location, where my house was, I was posted to a place, the Moritala International Mohammed Airport, and that was where the old work where I did all my industrial training, and it was so fun because I got to meet a lot of people. I
Mm,
experienced a lot of things. I experienced there's the terrible part and the good parts, the scary
yeah.
parts. Because yeah, so I could basically highlight a particular day because normally we get to the office, we sign in, and we just pick up by 9. We leave in the office and we're going to the site.
Hmm.
And this particular day, we got to the site and we just saw it was so chaotic outside, and the airport is very big. It was very chaotic outside,
Yeah.
and the moment our pickup was coming in, someone stopped it in the door, like stop, and an accident already happened. So
Oh.
someone fell from the fifth floor down,
Oh.
and it's one of our engineers.
Oh no.
Uh, that was the first reality of the kind of work and the
Oh my
kind of risks that
gosh.
are involved in the work, because you have to imagine if it is a, luckily for me, the airport was, I think, 8 or 10 stories estimated together because they're always very spacious. So, but
Hmm.
like if you level it up, it can be up to that. But there are some buildings whereby they are 21 stories and all that,
Oh
and you
my
have to put
gosh.
an elevator in there. So someone has to go into the shaft, and you have
Oh
to be wearing your belt and everything, putting these things together. And
man, that's
so,
oh that sounds like in the action movies, and then people get in the elevator
yeah,
shaft, and then like the elevator's coming down, and it's like kind of intense, you know.
yeah,
So oh my gosh, wow, that's
yeah.
crazy.
So, but luckily enough, thank God the guy was okay at the end of the day. He
Oh, that's
took like
good.
some months off, but like that was my first reality check. Like, yeah, this is what you're into right now,
Yeah.
and you gotta do this. But still, I was motivated because guys, that day we didn't work. The next day, everybody continued like normal. For me, that was a new reality, and I was like, okay, let's keep going. And
Oh man.
it taught me a lot of grit. It gave me grit and passion. Like, yeah, this is what they do. This is how they do it every day. They come in and they go back home, and their wives are at home, their children are at home, not knowing the risks that are involved. But they do this to
Oh
make
my
money
gosh.
and to feed their family, and
Yeah.
that was one of the realities. And it was
That's
fun. I loved. I'm still in touch with a lot of them today.
mhm.
Some of those engineers I worked with back then. Even one of them wanted to transition. It might be on this call. I don't know. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, I also like he was engaging me, and I kind of like putting him through because this is what you have to do. These are the courses you need to take. Not necessarily focus on courses, but like projects and all that.
Yeah.
And now he's more proficient in these things today. And these are one of the things, how you impact people's lives is different. You
Yeah.
never know where people would want to change. And this particular person I'm talking about is 40 something year old, and he just wants to transition. And
Yeah.
it's never too late. It's never too late to
Oh
transition.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's never too late. I mean, I served 20 years in the US Air Force, and then and while I was in the Air Force, I had like I don't even know how many jobs I had in the Air Force. In my last job, I was a data analyst, and then I was like, "Oh, I want to do this, when I get out." But there was a lot of things I didn't know, and thankfully, I actually like I got a bachelor's degree, but I had like no. It's not that I had no experience, but it's that I didn't know how to translate what I did when I was in the Air Force to be relevant on my resume. So people would read it and go, I don't know what this is, and just throw it away, right? And so I had to learn how to articulate what I did and how it's relevant to what I wanted to do. But so when you were working as a mechanical engineer, you said sometimes as an engineer, you can design systems or you can do installations. And so is that like the creative side? Because I know people who are like creative, and they're like, oh, I want to figure out something to do, because like unless
Yeah,
you're like really popular in either acting or music or whatever, you don't tend to make a lot of money as an artist, right?
yeah, exactly. True. So over here, it's different. So because it's Nigeria and job ecosystem, it's not. So we have this. I think it's over there in the US also. We have the technical schools,
Yeah.
people go to, and we have the undergraduate, the bachelors,
Right.
whereby people come up with a BSc. And so basically, the people who go to the technical school, like the polytechnics, they learn a lot of the handy part of the engineering here, because I know over there in the US, you guys learn a lot of practical work right from high school. But over here, it's in the university and it's basically the technical schools. But now things are starting to change. The curriculums are changing. But like for the bachelor's degree, we did less of practical, less of practical. Some other schools do more of the practicals.
Hmm.
For my school, I went to Lagos State University, and we did some practicals in terms of production engineering, welding, all those stuff, different things.
Hmm.
But in terms of real life installations, automobiles and stuff, nah, we didn't do that.
Hmm.
And we focused more on the theoretical part of things and learning tools and programs and learning how to use these things to aid the practical aspect of things. So when you get to a business place, a company, they most likely recruit the technical people. They call them the technicians, and they are the ones that go to the sites while the engineers supervise, because they
Ah,
know the
okay.
theoretical part of things. So they design and sometimes they supervise. Sometimes they partake in the practical aspect of things, but not everybody knows all the practical, can do the every label. So that is
Yeah.
why the technicians are there. So that's basically how it is. So it's just dependent on how you want to go about it. And that's just for installation engineering. When I was working as a maintenance engineer later on, it's a different thing totally. So everybody's all together in the same place. You're either you have a polytechnic degree or a BSc or a certification degree, but you studied engineering one way or the other. You're all in the same place. The only thing that is different is the salary scale. Based,
Oh.
yeah. So and it determines how far you go. So like there are limitations to where you can go based on the degrees you have.
Yeah.
So that is how it is in another section when I worked in media as an engineer in a media house. So that's how it is there, and that's how it is in different aspects. Engineering comes in different aspects, different fields. Engineers are everywhere. They're in the banks. I remember a time when I went to the bank, I saw someone, an engineer. It was all in his overall, and I noticed, yeah, that's an engineer working in the bank. So we don't work like a mechanical engineer. When we were in school, they told us something like a mechanical engineer can basically work everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
because you've been trained to think uh, very very deep analytically, design thinking, you're learning everything at the go. They say it's the toughest course in the world,
Hmm.
and it's one of the so you can fit in anywhere, you can learn something in as fast as possible because you went through rigorous training to basically take a degree or get a degree in mechanical engineering. So
Hmm.
I think that helped me, basically that helped me over
Hmm.
time,
Yeah.
and it's part of who I am today. I still apply the things I've learned or I learned in school then, or the trainings that I got while working as an engineer. I still apply today. Emotional intelligence, different things where you're
Yeah.
faced with that are beyond your capacity. You know how to take the chill pill and look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah. Oh
Yes,
yeah. That's
yes,
definitely, that's like, emotional intelligence. A lot of times, you're faced with in like, I know in maintenance environments, because when I was in the Air Force, I fixed airplanes, I fixed missiles, and a lot of times we come across some kind of issue, and like it's so frustrating and you can't figure it out or whatever. And I've seen people throw things and kick things, but like I'm also seeing people, hey, let's take a second, think about this, talk about it, and not not take not be offended with somebody else's idea.
Yeah.
especially if the idea fixes it. Don't get offended. It's fixed, right? But
Yeah.
so, how long were you in mechanical engineering?
I worked there for I think 2 years,
Yeah.
approximately. So when
What
I okay, should
Oh, what
you want?
was what were the things that you started to come across that you decided, you know what, I want to make a career transition?
Yeah. So while I was working as a maintenance engineer in the media house,
Hmm.
I kind of didn't like the way people looked at me. I felt like, yeah, so because it's not an engineering company, basically full scale,
Hmm.
it's a media house.
Hmm.
So our building was separate from the old building. We were like behind
Oh,
the scenes. We would wear overalls, we come, we wear overalls. Our overalls might be oily and all
yeah.
that. You're carrying a ladder and you're going into the big building where people wearing suits. And some people are condescending. So they forget that you also went to school to do a degree of 5 years. You studied. A lot of people are
Hmm.
not aware of that sometimes. Some people are not aware of that. So sometimes they look down on you. Sometimes they talk to you anyhow. They talk to you in ways that are very disrespectful.
Yeah.
And the fact that I worked in the sun all the time, I was always outside. I was always outside working in the sun. You're done with the whole day, you're drained,
Hmm.
and you're always just let me just get home and just take a shower and just rest and just eat dinner and sleep, and you come back the next day, which is
Hmm.
very hectic. And at that point, I think I sat down one day and I was like, do I think I want to do this for the long period of time? Do I think I want to do this? And at that point I asked, I don't know, I would say it's God gave me the insight to ask a question. So I went to my laptop and something just popped up in my head. Ask a question. I said, what's the 10 most needed jobs in the world right now? And this was before COVID. COVID
Yeah.
was about to happen.
Oh,
It's
okay. Yeah.
2019. And I asked the question, what's the 10 most needed jobs in the world right now? And Google gave me a list. It just came out. And I saw cybersecurity, I saw back-end engineering, front-end engineering, I saw data analytics. I didn't even pay attention to data analytics at first. I
Hmm.
didn't pay attention to it. I saw back-end engineering. I saw how promising that was. And I started learning that. I started learning back-end engineering. I started with C# programming.
Yeah.
I joined I joined the boot camp, and yeah, I loved it first. It was going step by step. I was passing the stages. I was just not feeling it. It was not. I, I could do it. I could do it, but it was not giving me joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't giving me. So I tried something else. I went to Python
Yeah.
backend engineering. That was fun for a bit, and I
Yeah.
went to boot camp, and the boot camp was so intensive I couldn't make it through. At that point I just like, nah, is this for me actually? Then I just went to data analytics, and I started taking a course on Coursera.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I started liking it. I liked the fact that numbers were everywhere. I liked the fact that
Ah.
things are scattered and I had to put them back together.
Yes.
So I loved that. It was basically what I did in engineering, maths, a lot of maths problems, a
Yeah.
lot of, yeah, a lot of proving of stuff where something that looks unclear, you make it clear. So
Yeah.
that was basically what engineering was. So it was basically aligning with me, and I was just like, I think this is it. And I had a friend. He was in the U.S. His name is Ridwan. I reached out to him. He was a analyst at then, business intelligence analyst at Aston Martin, I think.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. I reached out to him because we were secondary school buddies while he was in Nigeria. Before he didn't finish
Okay.
his university, he traveled out and went to the U.S. and I was already working and I was still like trying to figure things out. But I reached out to him. I was like, yo, I've started learning data analytics. Do you think you could help me out? Give me resources on what to take because there are many courses out there. And I want to take this. I want to take this. I would never finish anything. So I wanted him to put me through. And gracefully enough, he set up a session every Saturday
Oh.
just because of me. He set up a
Wow.
session every Saturday, 5 p.m. He informed some other people there in the US if they wanted to learn. So we were like, I think we were like 10, and he started teaching us basically data analytics. He created a curriculum just because,
Wow.
and we started from Power Query, Power Pivot, Power BI. And that was how I
Ah.
started. And I think this question, I went to church one day and the pastor said something that like stuck with me that basically made that decision final for me. He said, mindfulness brings opportunity. Mindfulness brings opportunity. There's a different,
Ooh,
the
that's a
fact that,
good one. I'm
yeah,
gonna post that comment in, in the chat. I'm gonna put it on. It goes on to YouTube. Mindfulness
brings
brings opportunity. Yeah,
So
that's good.
there's a difference between you wanting something and the fact that you're not mindful of it. You're just nonchalantly looking at it. Imagine I love biscuits, and I love the particular kind of biscuits I love is McVitie's, and maybe I go into the store one day as someone that doesn't like biscuits. I will see people walk by with McVitie's and I wouldn't care. I wouldn't even pay attention to it. But if I am mindful of the fact that I love McVitie's, any single person that passes by me with McVitie's, I'll basically recognize it. I say, yeah,
Yeah, no, that's true.
because I am mindful of it. So
Yeah.
when it said that, I was just scrolling through Twitter, just still Twitter then, or in a normal day. Normally, I would just scroll, just looking for what's going on, reading people's tweets, comments, and I saw an ad. It was basically a boot camp. On a normal day, I don't wait to see ads. I just swipe through like, I don't
Hmm.
care what you're selling. But I saw that because I saw data analytics. I was basically mindful of that. So the
Oh,
thing just,
that's
I just stopped.
hilarious.
I just stopped and I was like, what's this? And
You know what? Yeah, it's funny. I bet, like, there's something to be said for like the algorithm, or like like your phone is listening to you. Your
yeah,
computers are recording everything you're doing.
yeah,
You're looking on Google. You're looking for data analytics. You're looking at boot camps and stuff,
yeah,
and then you get it. You get an ad, but at the same time, if you're not looking for it, are you gonna find it? So
yeah,
that's really good, man. I like that.
yeah.
So what happened with the ad?
Yeah, so it was a boot camp. It's a boot camp in South Africa. It's called the Gradient Boost. I don't think it exists anymore, but like then they wanted to train I think 18 students from different parts of Africa in data science,
Okay.
and you have to submit a resume, do an interview, and
Wow.
see. So I did that, and I passed. So they asked
Mm.
all the questions they wanted to ask. They wanted to see if I was well intentioned to learn this thing. And I was like, yeah, I did it. And I passed. When I passed, I got into the boot camp and we were learning Python programming all over again, exploratory analysis, machine learning, learning about
Hmm.
really regression and all that. And we were about to get to the data analytics part where you learn Power BI or Tableau. We were about to get there. Then a company came in, a startup came, which called Helium Health. It's a health tech startup. And they reached out to the founder and they said they needed two interns from the bootcamp to come join them.
Oh,
Uh, and they needed people in Lagos, especially. Specific.
okay.
And
Opportunity.
I saw that and I was like, oh, so they dropped a case study for us to work on. And I picked that up. And me, someone like me, I don't like leaving things to chance. I called my friend in the US. I called Read One all over again. Yo, this opportunity came up. Can we work on this together? And
Oh
you
yes.
walked me through and all the stuff. And I did everything they asked. Build a dashboard on this healthcare data and bring out your findings and write the recommendations of what you found out on
Uh-huh.
different things. So I did that, but one thing they didn't say, I decided that if I wanted to stand out, because the competition is there, other people
Mm.
also want to get this opportunity.
Yeah.
And what I did was that I went on Zoom, I opened Zoom, I did a presentation of my findings. I recorded it, then I put it. They didn't ask for that, but I did the presentation myself. I wanted to go above and beyond, so to
Yeah.
make sure I think it works. So I did that. I put it in the my file and I zipped it and I sent it as a submission. And the first 1 week left flew by, and the founder of the bootcamp reached out to me on Slack and was like, would you mind if we use your submission as a case study for the rest of the uh,
What?
bootcamp? I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
I didn't do anything special. Like that was how I felt like, and I was like, yeah, you can. I didn't even know I did something very. I thought like, yo, people. I looked at everybody I was competing with. I went to look at their LinkedIn. These people are experienced. They've done projects on machine learning. They've done these things, and I was like, I don't even know anything. I just started. I just did what I could, dashboard that brings out insights, and I wrote a recommendation on Google Doc. I put it in and I did a video of my presentation, and
Hmm.
that was all I did. But I saw these people, they have years of experience, they've started data science already. Me, I'm just starting out. So when they came to reach out to me that they wanted to use my submission as a way to teach people how to, and I was like, okay, no problem.
Yeah. So like so like being in the field, I can tell you that like I've worked with a lot of people who are good analysts or they're good developers, but then they're not like good communicators, or they're like very like there's a joke about like analysts, nobody wants them to talk to people, so they're
Yeah.
like sitting in a basement growing mushrooms, right? It's like dark and dark and quiet and like really like humid in there, and it's just like they're just doing work and they don't want to talk to anybody. So when you have somebody who's like, hey, these are my findings, this is what it looks like, this is my presentation, that takes it over the top, and then all of a sudden you're like you're acting like a consultant, and that's like that's that's up here. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So they
So
took your submission and made it the template, and they said, hey,
yeah.
this is what we're looking for.
So
Yeah.
the company came back. I already gave up. Like the company then came back after like 3 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and they shortlisted four of us for interviews. You remember in the beginning they said they needed two interns. So in
Mm-hmm.
my mind, I was like, I needed to fight for two slots. Like I'm just fighting for a slot
Yeah.
out of the two. And we did the interviews, and that day I was so, I think I was so scared. I was doing a program called Upkey at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, was in Chicago, and it was during COVID. We were working on different projects. It
Mm-hmm.
was, I think one of the co-founders of Upkey reached out and he said, "Do you want to be a leader of a team to work on a project like an Upkey Foundation? And you guys would just work on a project and you would lead it. Do you want to lead?" He reached out to me. Do you want to lead the team? These are people from different parts of the world,
Yeah.
and the fact that, like, I was like, how am I going to do this? And I just told him, I didn't want to run away from any challenge. I just told him, yes, I would.
Yeah.
And I told him I would, but I would need your, if I have any issues, I'll kindly reach out to you, please. And he said, yeah, no problem. I think his name is Gerald Doyle. Gerald Doyle, I remember now.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me an opportunity, and the project was successful. We came in our presentation at the end of the day, we came fifth in all the projects, things to get women out of, because during COVID, women were made to resign from work, focus on the children at home. So how do we
Oh.
get the women back into the working system and getting them back to work and stuff? Those were the things we were working on in this project, that people had to create different products for. It was a user experience design kind of project, and the
Interesting.
foundation also. And I did that. I was able to. It was first challenging at first. People from India, America, Canada, all over the world. You have to bring them together to work on a particular project, different time
Oh
zones.
man.
And I was the one that was supposed to do that. The program taught me a lot about grit, about not giving up, about bringing people together to work on a particular goal, and we
Whoo.
were able to do that. And that gave me a lot of confidence, because I
Yeah.
think one of the commissioners of education in the states in the US came to speak to us during the cohort when it was going on before the projects, and all those things gave me confidence that if I could speak to these people, so I could speak to anyone and present things to anyone. So this was before the
Yeah.
interview. So after doing all this, I had the confidence before the interview. I was confident of speaking to anybody and talking about what I had to say. And the interview about the at Iliamel came, and I presented my findings. This was, remember, this was after 1 month, and I had not gone back to the case study I did.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't during the interview, they asked me, "So tell us about your findings." I was not doing any presentation. They didn't allow me to share. They didn't. They just told me. So they wanted to know if I was the one that actually did it. Because if you were the one
Oh.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, so if you were the one that did it, you will remember the things you did, and
Yeah.
you will. And I still recollected everything, and I said everything the way it was, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden the CPDO came in, the chief product and data officer came into the interview. He was not there, he just came into the interview,
Hmm.
and they just handed it over to him, and he started asking me questions on Power Pivot and all this stuff. So he asked me something that if I had the data, if I wanted to analyze it and I don't have BI tools, I don't know what would I use. If I don't have, I said I would use Looker. I said if I don't have Looker, what would I use? I would use SQL. He said if I didn't have SQL, what would I use? And I said Power Pivot to get this, and Excel to work on this, and our Power Pivot and do this and that. He was asking the basic questions, the basic things about data analytics, about Excel, about grouping, measures, values, and he was just asking those things. And he got to a point, I can't remember the question. He asked me a particular question, and I answered, and it was like, "Am I sure?" And it was making me second guess myself, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm
Putting the
sure."
pressure on.
Yeah, I said I'm sure, and he said okay, and that's the end. I won't ask any questions again. He handed over,
He
and he
wanted to
handed
see he wanted to see how you responded to pressure from, C-suite. Because a lot of
yeah,
people like, oh, this person is so high in the company, and just have to do
yeah,
what they say. But he wanted to know that you were
yeah,
actually the man, and you were the
exactly.
man.
So I kind of did that, and the interview ended, and I called my friend Ridwan in the US. Yo, this happened, and I was like, this happened, and he asked me this question. He asked me if I was sure, and I said, he said, my friend said, "Hope you said you were sure." I said, "Yes." I said, "I was sure," and he was like, "Nah, don't fret, you'll be okay." And
Yeah.
I waited another after the interview. It went like another month went by.
Mm,
Like, yo, after people picked who they wanted, and all of a sudden, one day, I was working with my friends on our way back home. I just got a Slack message from the founder of the boot camp, and it was like, "Ayodeji, congratulations, you've been picked as an intern to join Helium Health." I was so livid on the road. I was like, "Yo, I celebrate." I called my friends. They celebrated. People were looking at us on the road like, "What's wrong with these people?" I was so happy because
yeah.
getting into the ecosystem is the most difficult thing. If you're transitioning, getting into the
Oh,
ecosystem
yeah.
is the most difficult thing because you need a lot of people to believe in what you can do, rather
Yeah.
than people have gone to school to study it and graduates of that thing. So it's a different case for you transitioning in. So I was so happy, and funny enough, they needed to. I was the only one they picked at the end of the day. They didn't pick anybody else. It was only one person they picked. So
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
I was like, yo, I was so happy. And funny
Did you
enough,
tell
when
your
I got,
pastor? You go back and tell your pastor?
yeah, I didn't tell you. I did a testimony like, yeah, I got a job, like that kind of. So it was like that. And when I got in, I realized that they were just starting the data team, and
Mhm.
it's like from scratch. There was a
Oh,
new
yeah.
data scientist, a new senior data engineer, and I was the analyst, but an intern.
Wow. Yeah.
So they gave me the freedom to do what I wanted to do.
Oh, yeah.
So like make your
Learn a lot.
mistakes. Yeah, make your mistakes.
Yeah.
I started with Luca, Google Studio. It was Google Data Studio then. Then now Luca Studio.
Yeah.
Uh, After like 9 months using Luca, the CPDO came in one day and it was like, "We're ready to pay for a BI tool like W or Power BI. Which one do you want?" He asked me the question, "Which
Yeah.
one do you want?" And I was like, I think I learned Power BI already. Give me Tableau. Because I know Tableau is kind of like widely used in the USA. And my end goal at the end of the day, one of my goals is to get into the US to work at Google, my long term goals and all this stuff.
Mhm.
So I was like, yeah, give me Tableau. I want to learn Tableau. I want to use Tableau. And they paid for Tableau and gave me the
Wow.
free will to do what I wanted to learn.
Nice.
And that was how my data analytics journey started. And my boss was a very big help. He told me there were sometimes it was challenging. I remember a time the data engineer gave me something to do, and I came back like some days later saying it's not possible. I couldn't figure it out. Like she was kind of like pissed because she just on the call there. On the call, she then figured it. She did it on the call. She had a screen and she figured it out and she did it. And
Mm.
I felt bad, like, yeah. So when the call ended, she kind of like told my boss to wait behind. I knew it was about me.
Mhm.
And like I stepped off the call and they had a conversation. And luckily for me, my boss is a very cool guy. We're still friends to today, he's my mentor. And he called me on the phone and he was like, yeah. we're not happy about this, and don't always give up when you have challenges like that. Make sure you've scrubbed every channel possible to figure it
Right.
out, and before you say it's not possible.
Yeah.
It's really, there's nothing impossible to do most of these days. You just have to ask questions. You have to do your research. If you cannot figure it out, ask people those
Yeah.
questions. And this was one of the things that helped me and changed my sense of thinking of I don't believe in the it's not possible mentality any longer. I make sure I exhaust all resources and make sure I can do everything. I've done everything I needed to do to figure this thing out. Then I know, and I've asked people that have maybe done it before, look for them on LinkedIn and ask questions about how to solve a particular problem. And then go today we even have ChatGPT. Then it was
Yeah.
not it. So,
Yeah, I
but
mean, there's so many resources, right? A lot of times, if you're, I've seen like young analysts go, well, I can't figure this out. It's probably not possible. Like you said, right? I worked, I was handed a project to automate because the guy who had been working on it before me for 9 months,
mm,
he's like, he just didn't get it done. So I had to go talk to him. I say, hey, because he was leaving the team. I said, hey, so you need I just need all the information. I want to know what's going on. And then he said, well, this is what the data looks like. This is what we have have to transform the data. This is what he wants it to look like. And he said, can't be done. It can't be done. It's not possible. It can't be done. And I remember that. And I was like, what? And so I ended up working on it as like a side project. It wasn't the main thing I was working on. It was a side project for like it was like 6 months, and then my one of my coworkers was able to take it on like full time, and he ended up finishing it. And our inside joke now, like years later, it was like almost 10 years ago. Our joke now is like anytime something comes up, he's like, "Oh yeah, can't be done, can't be done." It's not possible. It can't be done. And we always, anytime, we just like make that joke, we just bust out laughing because it's like all you had to do was ask the right questions, ask the
yeah,
right people the right questions, and then if nobody knew, do your research, right? Yeah,
yeah,
Google it. Stack Overflow.
absolutely.
For us, we're using Alteryx, so Alteryx Community, and then like Chat GPT, whatever, ask somebody or ask something, that's
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, there's something to be said about persistence, right?
Yeah,
Like you showed in your journey, you showed in your whole journey that it was all about persistence. You
yeah,
went through some experiences and there was some struggle, and you're like, man, I gotta find a way above, above and beyond. And you were persistent, and I thought it was cool that you talked about how your friend took the time to set aside with you and some other like friends of his
yeah.
to learn together. That's so awesome. I hope you still count him as a friend because that's pretty awesome of him.
We're very close friends today. We're still
Yeah,
very.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I still. I already left Ilium out. I'm working at InterSwitch today. InterSwitch Group, which is the oldest fintech in Africa, in
Oh,
Nigeria, basically, and it's the biggest. So I'm grateful for that. I think one of the things that helped me even I think there's a prayer I normally do. It's like, God, I made a prayer when I was a kid. I said, God, if I have anything in front of me, I'm moving to the next level. I don't want to stay too long. When I say I want to change things, a year must not pass by before I get that thing. It's kind of like a comment I do, just talking like a child. Like, and since then it has been the case. And I think I worked on a new data engineer came when I was in Ilium Health, and it was the head of data engineering in Access Bank, which is a big tier one bank in Nigeria and Africa.
wow.
And he joined us on contract. We worked on some project on ICD-10 and on EMR data, basically trying to classify unique patients across multiple EMRs in different
Yeah.
hospitals. And we tried to work on this project. We also were given, there was a product called Helium Credit that could give loans to health facilities, clinics, hospitals, pharmacies. They are able to get loans to like buy equipment, pay staffs, and overall different kind of things, different reasons of collecting loans, and I had to build something from scratch because they were also competing for a Series B funding, the
Mm.
startup. So they just came up. The product was not in existence. They just came up. I think they already promised the people that wanted to fund that we have this product, and but the analytics side was not ready. It was not even in existence yet,
Mm.
and they just came to us. We need to get this done by. We need this, and we need to do a presentation in like I think 3 weeks or something. And we're like, where's this coming from? And my boss took it on, and they gave me the CPDO came in personally and he said, Ayodeji, you're in charge of this, the dashboard building of this credit dashboard. And I was like, yo, this is a challenge. And this dashboard will be used to present to stakeholders to be for
Oh,
30. At the end of the day, they got $30 million in Series B funding, and my work contributed to that. But
nice.
before we got this done, we spent like 2 weeks not sleeping. Like we didn't get like 2 hours because we needed to build the data engineering aspect, the data architecture of how data will move from the source down to the analytics side. There were different procedures, so the data engineer worked on it, and most of the time, because he's working on contract with us, he was also working full time with Access Bank. So most of the times, we're always working till like 1 a.m. He's driving home. I'm always on a call with him on Google Meet, try to keep him awake while we're working on the project because I needed the data that is cleaning. I needed the data to work on my own dashboard. So we were working on
Man.
this all together. And because of this, his name is Temi Toparia. He's a MasterCard now in the USA. Uh, this to today is one of the greatest mentor I have. He's always there
Oh,
for
that's
me
awesome.
anytime. And I think that project made us bond.
Yeah.
Uh, this is so beyond that, and he's like my elder brother today. I call him my elder brother.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
So,
you know that they call that trauma bonding, where you go through hardship and then like you like become like blood brothers.
exactly. And yeah, he helped me. He navigated. There was a time when the interview for InterSwitch, where I am now,
Yeah.
came. I just reached out to him, yo, and we've always talked about me moving up because an opportunity came to join the bank. He advised me against it, like the way the banking sector is, a lot of politics and all that. And he felt
Mhm.
like I would learn faster without having to go there because it's toxic a bit and all that. And I took his advice. I didn't go there. I had the opportunity because there was a bootcamp they were doing on Audacity. They paid to Audacity for us to take trainings and they recruit you from there. I partook in that and but I didn't take the opportunity to join them because he advised against it. And I appreciate his advice today because I'm still in a company that is very huge that because where I work today is basically the switch. Every banking institution in Nigeria, like I would say 60 to 70% of them use our switch. So the switch enables you transfer money from one bank to the other. So
Oh,
it's called the
wow.
switch. So the switch is what makes your money move from a bank to another bank.
Yeah.
That's what Visa has. That is what Mastercard has, and all those other.
Oh.
So that it's called Into Switch. They own Vev. It's called they own. My company owns Vev cards, Vev card and all. So they own Quick Teller and the rest. So to join this company, it was kind of like a dream company when they reached out. Like they see my profile on LinkedIn and they feel I would be like a good fit for the organization. I was so glad, and they said, "If I would love to start with the interview process." I was like, "Yes, I'm ready to start." I replied, and so they sent a case study also. So and it was more of data engineering and analytics also. So, but I wasn't really familiar with the data engineering aspect of things, but like I knew a bit from the meetup when we were working together,
Mhm.
and that kicked off something. I called him. I said, "Yo, I have this." I called our current data engineer at Ilium Health. We worked on those things together, and they helped me. I would do some of the things. If I had issues, I would reach out to them. They would help research and we'll correct it together when it works. They give me the thumbs up. But when it got to the dashboard part, that was my jurisdiction. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I created something, an inside dashboard, a sales dashboard that was on Tableau. And the presentation, I did a presentation slide which I copy. I did a copy of a slide that we used in Ilium for a competition. The slide was so beautiful. I took it and I put my insights in there. It was very, very, very beautiful, and I was like proud of the work. It was almost 12 when I was supposed to submit, but I knew yes, this is ready, and I sent it in, and I was scheduled for the next phase of the interview, the one with the team
Mm.
that I would be joining. That was so hectic, man. Like the questions were a lot. Just coming left, right, and center. So
Yeah.
tell me, I was like, I tried answering, and there were some questions I already told myself. If they ask questions I don't know about, I would say I literally don't know it, but I'm willing to learn it. So,
Yeah.
because I'm not really, I won't pretend like I know a lot about data engineering or a lot about
Yeah.
Python at that stage of my career. So, I kind of like, I was like, the truth is always going to the best thing to say. So, when this kind of questions came up, I would like, yeah, I'm not really familiar with this right now, but it's something I'm willing to learn on the job and get things done as soon as possible. And the other insight things, and they asked different questions where I was able to answer, and I think it was satisfactory enough for the team, and it kind of like moved me on to the next stage where you have to do an interview with the GMB, one of the stakeholder executive
Hmm.
level. And for that, I called Temitope again, my mentor, and it was like he gave me different questions because I don't know anything about the financial industry. I
Yeah.
didn't know anything, so it was a new because I'm coming from the health sector. I'm going to the
Mm.
finance sector. This is a total new domain, and I had to ask questions because he already worked in a bank, and I just asked him, and he gave
Hmm.
me some questions to ask the GMD, and when the interview started with the GMD, as it got to a point, the GMD had to ask me, "It seems like you're the one interviewing me now. I'm not the one interviewing you." So, and that to me felt like, yeah, I think I already successful in this one.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it
Oh
was,
yeah. When people are interviewing you, they a lot of times they want to know, like, they don't want you to just sit there and just like answer. They want
yeah,
you to be curious and they want you to ask questions. And so
exactly.
that means that you're not afraid to like show that you don't know something. And
Yeah,
like, so the easiest things for me, like the easiest things um to or the easiest situation to hire somebody in is like somebody who is has a level of humility and wants to learn. But when you have
exactly.
somebody who's like, well, I'm the expert, it's like, okay, well, there's going to be times when you're not the expert, and then
Yeah,
you're going to like get mad because whatever. And so yeah, yeah, people love that when you ask
yeah,
questions.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And from
So
then,
I I have a question for you.
yeah.
So here we go, asking questions. So if there's somebody who's like thinking about a career transition
Mhm.
and they're like, this seems so impossible to me, what would you say, like one piece of advice you'd give to them?
So for me, I would say to them, it's never impossible. It's never too late to start. One issue people have, I think a lot of people see data analytics or something software engineering, they see something else and they be like, yo, it's a lot of programming, yo, it's gonna be tough, yo, it's gonna be this. And I was like, I tell them all the time is the moment you start thinking about it like it's going to be tough, it's going to be tough. The
Mm,
moment you see it as something difficult, it's going to be difficult. But when you see it as a stepping stone or something that is going to be easy for you, it's going to be easy for you because everything is in your mind. The
yeah.
battle is in your mind, basically. The moment
Yeah.
you're able to win the battle in your mind, every other thing is going to come with ease. You're going to learn easy because basically, if you want to transition, you want to learn something from scratch. It's like you're learning ABC all over again. And if you can see it like that, you learning ABC all over again, it's going to be easy for you to go. So you're not going with a defeating mindset. You're going with a winning mentality, basically.
Nice.
So you're going in and you're like, yes, I would get this done. I'm giving myself a year to learn this. I'm giving myself. You're not squeezing it in like 3 months because you know you might not have the capacity. Because maybe you're currently working somewhere else, so you have to give yourself a bit of a lever whereby you're learning and you're able to catch up on things. Set goals like that are measurable and achievable. Like, okay, I'm gonna take this course and I'm gonna work on projects and I'm gonna do all this within 6 months. And you're gonna break it into
Mhm.
tiny little wins. And if you're able to do this, you're going to also create a fact that you have to reach out to people, to mentors, people that will be able to mentor you and tell you the right way to go. Because there are a lot of resources out there, and it's easy to get mumbled up in it and keep on taking courses, keep on taking different things. And you want to avoid this most of the time. So you need someone that has done it before. So you need to reach out to people. If it's on LinkedIn, I think that's why LinkedIn is there. Don't be scared to reach out to people. Don't be scared. That is one of the challenges a lot of people have today, is the fact that they see someone on LinkedIn, they see the profile is big, and I understand sometimes you might reach out to some people and they might not reply you, and that's fine. You have to
Yep.
that in. You have to, that's just life, and you keep on reaching out to people until you get someone that answers you. And when someone answers you, you don't expect them to take you every part of the way. They're just going to give you some bit of advices. uh,
Oh
you
yeah.
have to be able to take that advice and work on it. So a lot of people like to see, a lot of experienced folks like to see that you've put in an effort before they help you. They don't
Yeah.
want you to just come and just lay in and you're expecting them to teach you everything like a baby. No, you have to take ownership and reach out when they see that you've put in an effort. They will be willing and happy to help you. I know there
Yeah.
were times where I've spoken to people at Meta when I was going into this data analysis, and somebody basically scheduled a one-on-one mentorship session with me, and it works at Meta. And it was far off someone that I felt like I would never be able to communicate with, but that happened because I reached out. So you
Yeah.
have to find a mentor. You have to find someone that will put you through. You have to look at challenges as a challenge. Sometimes it will be successful, sometimes it won't. And you have to know how to accept that. Take your wins. Every little win you take it and you celebrate it. It is very important that, because that will keep you going, basically. So that's what I'm gonna say.
All
And
right. So hey, I tried to write down as much as I could, and I'm going to put it in the chat so it's up on YouTube until like the end of time or whenever YouTube ceases to be in existence. So it's never too late to start. Give yourself measurable and achievable goals. Reach out to people to ask for help to, to ask for help from someone who's done it before. When someone answers, don't expect them to take you all the way. Take ownership, and then celebrate every win. Does that sound good?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put that in the chat. Yeah, man. You know, I let me put it in the chat before I forget it. Um, let me see here. Oh, there it is. Oh, it ended up going into. Oh well. All right. So I wanted to I wanted to thank you for coming on the show. Like I said, you're my first interview in Africa, which is pretty awesome. I know it's a big continent, it's like massive. And so then there's more room for other people. And let me tell you, this week, ever since I posted that you were going to be on the show, I've had like 5 or 6 people reach out to me from the continent who said, "Hey, connect with me. I'm following you. Connect with me." And I'm like, "I don't know who you are, but okay, let's do it. Let's have a conversation. Why not?" Um, but yeah, man, it's so inspiring to hear somebody, hear this from somebody who's, um, you know, uh, who's who's had a different career path than what we like people perceive as like normal or like standard or whatever, and to see how you really pursued it and how you really never gave up, and but at the same time it wasn't just you were able to lock in with some mentors and some friends who helped bring you along the way, because like they say, I don't know what that saying is. It's like the tip of my tongue, something about like basically you can go. Oh, what is it? I don't know. It's like something like you can go far by yourself, but like with other people, whatever. You
Yeah,
go further because you're helping each other carry the load along the
yes,
way,
that's,
teaching and learning along the way. That's pretty awesome. And so I bet you're a pretty good mentor for some other younger folks. And if
yeah,
if you're not, people reach out to this guy because he's got a lot of good life experience, and I really feel like you keep pursuing your goals, and one day you're gonna get that job at Google. You're gonna go live in the States, and you're gonna be successful. You continue to pursue in that mindset, and the humility of like, hey, I need help, and then, man, I love to help other people. So I want to thank you for coming on, and really just giving us your story, as well as some really inspiring quotes, man. This is so awesome. So but okay, before we leave, I got to talk about next week, everybody. My guest next week is none other than John J. Tullio. If you don't know who John J. Tullio is, um, you're going to see him. We don't look alike, but apparently we have the same mannerisms, and it's because he's my cousin. But John Jay is he used to be a med tech. He was a med tech. He was like drawing people's blood and all that stuff. He worked in a hospital, and now he's an entrepreneur, and he owns some businesses and has a foundation in the Philippines that helps put people through school. And so this is really, really cool stuff that he's doing. He spends like a lot of time in the Philippines and back in San Francisco Bay Area, where he lives with his wife and kids. But tune in, guys, next week. Ayodeji, don't go anywhere. I'll talk to you in the studio. But you guys tune in next week. But until then, have a good week. Peace.